Quinn with Algebra Rescue, and today we're talking about SAT math. Where to get started, what your first session might look like. So, what is on SAT math? Well, you're going to have four main topics: algebra, advanced math, geometry and trig, problem solving, and data analysis. Now, you might think you should find your weakest subject and then practice that the most. This is partially right, but really, the test is not equal amounts of algebra, advanced math, geometry, and data analysis. The SAT is going to be mostly algebra and advanced math, and then some geometry and trig and some problem solving and data analysis. This means if there are 27 questions on your math SAT module, really there's only going to be 2 or 3 geometry problems, maybe 3 or 4 data analysis problems. The rest are all going to be advanced math and algebra. So your focus should really be on the type of problems that you're missing the most points on, not the type or the subject where you feel like you're weakest. For example, even if in geometry you are getting a 30%, if on algebra you're getting a 70%, taking that last 30% and clearing it up will end up having a greater effect than if you were to master completely geometry and trig. So let's go further into detail on algebra, trigonometry, all of these.
So we said we have these 4 subjects to work on. As far as algebra, there's really only 4 topics here. Linear equations in 1 and 2 variables, linear functions, systems of 2 linear equations, 2 variables, and linear inequalities. For your advanced maths, we also just have 4 subjects, 4 topics within the advanced math. Equivalent expressions, nonlinear equations with 1 variable, systems of nonlinear equations, usually just 2 variables, and then nonlinear functions. Now, for your data analysis and problem solving, this is going to be what you've seen in your science classes. Maybe if you took statistics, just ratios, rates, some pre-algebra stuff, and then taking percentages, interpreting data in 1 variable, 2 variables, data models, and evaluating statistical claims. This is really just reading comprehension and critical thinking. So trigonometry and geometry is just going to be your angle relationships, area and volume formulas, right triangles, and circles. So that's going to sum up what's on the SAT. Pretty much just your high school math classes, statistical reasoning and problem solving. That's going to be a lot of pre-algebra in your science classes. Then algebra, of course, algebra 2 with your advanced maths, and then geometry, of course, for geometry and trig.
So now what's your next step? Well, it's simple. We find in studies that this is SAT score here. We find a direct correlation, or maybe not, a linear function. But generally, people that have solved more practice problems will get a higher SAT score. Yeah, but very few people that have solved a lot of problems are going to score low SAT. But we can combine this practice problem solved with knowledge that there's a limited number of types of problems. And then we can focus the types of practice problems on the ones that you don't already have mastered. We can figure out which problems to practice more by just taking a practice test, and that'll show you exactly where your weaknesses are. So I'll put a link to the SAT practice test bank. Take one of these.
Go ahead and take practice test number 4. When you're working through this, remember, if you run into a problem that you don't understand or that's going to take a long time, just skip it and then come back for it later. And make sure you use that graphing calculator. Desmos graphing calculator is going to be what you're able to use on the SAT as well. So get used to using it and practice with it. It'll speed up a lot of problems. It can help find solutions to equations super quickly. All right, you have 35 minutes to complete 27 questions on. So do that for each module. Take about a minute and a half for each question. If you have absolutely no idea, you can just leave the answer blank. Although in the real test, you would want to fill in every answer.
All right. Now that you've completed that one module of the SAT math section, you're going to come back here, enter your answers over here. So replace anywhere that it says no answer with your answer. And that will automatically score for you on each of these sections. So you can see that they're not evenly weighted. So algebra is worth 326 out of 800 points on this particular module. And advanced math 200 versus problem solving and geometry are about geometry is worth half. So if you're getting 50% of your points on geometry and you're getting 70% of your points on algebra, you still want to focus on algebra and not geometry. Furthermore, we can break it down, and this sheet is automatically going to put a star next to your weakest, not just topic, which we found over here, not just the weakest concept, but the weakest topic or subtopic. So in this case, the highest weighted subtopic was linear functions. Linear functions were worth 148 points. So if you can just recognize linear functions and properties of linear functions, you already are up 148 points. We didn't even see many of the problem solving and data analysis type problems. You can see on the next test, there's more problem solving and data analysis, but we still have, this is for module 2, we still have a majority of advanced math and algebra. Right, so now you know exactly where your weak points are. This is calculated and shown you exactly which problem type you should focus on. Then you take that problem type and you find the problems that are like that. So we are looking for nonlinear functions. Say that was your worst subject, nonlinear, your worst subtopic, nonlinear functions. Nonlinear functions. It's going to highlight exactly where they are. So then go back through and get all of these problems. Try to see what they have in common. Or I'll show you an example.
Okay, so first you're going to find those corresponding questions to the topic that you missed, and then kind of review them If you're at a zero in understanding, it usually just means you don't understand a few of the words that are there, really. So, really read it and then just Google those words and see if you can figure out which topic it is that you're missing, or identify the type of equation you're looking at. And then Google that, find a YouTube video. On the other hand, if you're pretty sure you know this, you've learned it before, but you just don't remember it, a good start is an image search. It's just going to bring together a lot of those memories and bring them up to the surface. Great. So now you're at around a 2 out of 4. And all we're going to do is just kind of play with Desmos a little bit. You're going to want some sort of interactive model. If this was science, it's like an experiment. So here I'm just going through, kind of playing with the equations, seeing how different variables affect the equation, and just building really an intuition for the subject. And this brings my understanding of exponential functions up from about a 2 to maybe a 3. From a 3, where maybe you're pretty sure you understand it, but somehow you just made a mistake and you missed the problem, then you're just going to want to go to your favorite large language model and say ChatGPT, and just give it the question that you missed and say, give me a few practice problems that are similar to this. I also like to include 1 to 3 levels of difficulty.
So yeah, do that over the course of 2 or 3 days. You'll be able to correct all of your mistakes. And then you want to just keep doing practice problems over, the next week. Keep spacing them out. Eventually, you can take longer and longer breaks without forgetting something, which is really nice and really powerful. So you can learn things in a more relaxed way. Right. Well, I hope that was helpful to some of you guys out there. And I will leave the links to that SAT practice test as well as the diagnostic sheet in the bio comments. Whatever. Peace.